Welcome to this episode of Greece Chats. In today's episode, I have Panagiota Niovi Christopoulou, a New York City attorney and the first and only Greek-American candidate running with New Democracy in the upcoming EU elections. Her goal is to strengthen the connection between Greece and the Greek homogenia. Let's jump into this conversation and meet Panagiota Niovi Christopoulou. Hey Niovi.
Hi, Tony.
How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm a little tired, but I'm doing great.
Awesome. Happy you found the time to do this and welcome to the show. Why don't we just jump into it and let my listeners know exactly who you are and what's going on?
Sure. So I'm Panagiota Niovi Christopoulou, and I am the only Greek American candidate with Nea Demokratia in the upcoming European Union Parliament elections that will take place on June 9th. But for most Greek Americans and most Greeks abroad are actually taking place right now, as the Greeks abroad have the opportunity to vote until May 28th, I believe, because then they have to turn the vote in.
Mhm. Awesome. Tell us, so you mentioned you're the only Greek American running in
Yeah.
democracy. Talk to me about that. What's that like? I know you grew up in Greece, moved to America, correct?
Yeah, that's a long time ago, right? So I was born and raised in Greece, and then I studied law in Athens, Greece, and I moved to New York to study law at Columbia Law School, and and then after that I stayed in the U.S. for a long time. I started working for big law firms and eventually ended up in tech. I worked for Amazon, and currently I'm focused on AI and digital tech. And when the government went through with the epistoliki vote, the postal vote, which is this historic moment that allows Greeks from all over the world to vote any Greek candidate they want to represent them in the European Parliament, I accepted the challenge to represent the homogenia in a way, and to be a pioneer in European Union politics and uniting Greek Americans and Greeks abroad with mainland Greece and with the European Union.
That's amazing. So take me back 1 second. You mentioned their postal vote. Does that mean a Greek citizen that's living in the U.S. or living anywhere around the world can vote for any position that's going on?
Yeah, that's true. And any Greek that owns a Greek passport, there are some other requirements, but mostly like anybody who's the holder of a Greek passport can actually vote from anywhere in the world. So people don't really have to go to an election center anymore. They can do it from the comfort of their home. They receive the ballot at home. They just pick the candidate and they send it back, through mail.
That's amazing. And then you say that you're running. Can you talk to us about what position, what capacity you hope to be running for?
So I'm running to be a European Union parliamentary member. The European Union has like three major organs: the EU Commission, the Council, and the Parliament. And the Parliament is the body that votes for most important legislative pieces of work and regulatory initiatives in the European Union. Each country has its own representatives. Greece is represented, by a total of 21 parliamentary members, and these seats get allocated to each party depending on the votes they receive. It's really important because this next term, the European Parliament will decide, about major issues such as trade or defense, growth measures, and it really has a huge impact on Greece itself, as probably like up to 80% of laws, of Greek laws, are adoption of EU laws. So it's important also for Greeks abroad to know that the choice of the European Union Parliament is something that can define the future of mainland Greece, and also has an impact on Greek Americans and Greeks abroad, because many of these measures touch upon every aspect of our daily lives.
Amazing. You mentioned a very popular buzzword, AI. So I want to talk a little bit
Yeah.
about your tech background. You mentioned Amazon, mentioned AI. Can you dive a little bit deeper on this?
Yeah, I worked at Amazon in fintech, a really exciting role because I was working on some fintech products and I was involved in launching and developing them and making sure they're compliant with the different laws around the world. And I was the legal POC for multiple products around the world. So that was really exciting because I got the opportunity to work with engineers, with cross-functional teams, really learned very fast what each product had to comply with in different places of the world. And that really sparked my interest in tech and digital technologies, in addition to fintech per se, and led me down the path of AI, which in turn led me to the path of, cross-Atlantic politics pertaining to tech. So to be more specific, there's a lot of activity right now in the EU Parliament relating to digital tech, and that is also the case to a lesser degree. But there's a lot of regulatory activity in the US as well around tech. And this is the reason why I first got interested in the EU Parliament by following the different policies that the EU Parliament was issuing to address different issues on digital tech and fintech and the AI.
Amazing. Is this something that is part of your educational background, or what's that look like?
No, I studied law at Columbia Law School in New York City, and I started as a corporate lawyer practicing M&A and venture capital. And then for a while, I also worked in startups, and that's where I developed an interest in innovation and tech in the first place. Then, when I worked for Amazon, I really deep dived in all issues of tech, and eventually developed an interest in AI, which is what I'm currently focused on, mainly investing in AI products, and advising on AI ethical practices and, such as transparency, responsible AI, and the like.
Awesome. So, at what point did you decide to go down this route of running for parliament? What inspired it?
Really, the whole epistoliki vote, this is historic moment, inviting Greeks from all over the world to vote and to be represented by any Greek around the world. I believe that this is a historic opportunity. I believe that it's really crucial for the Greek American community to be represented and to connect to Greece and to have a say and a voice, and to help out Greece, in a more structured way as well, and to develop and to express a voice about matters that, are more uh, important to Greeks abroad as well.
So, when this all goes great and everything that you're chasing comes to fruition, what are some of the things like plans? You mentioned for that Greek American community. What are some of the things you hope to change, fix, improve on the relationships between Greek America and Greece? Talk to me about that.
Yeah, I feel very passionate about Greek education for Greek American kids. I'm the mom of two wonderful boys, an 11-year-old and a 7-year-old, and I really struggle to keep up, their Greek language skills and the connection to Greek culture as well, and why not Greek history, um, Greek education, in whole. So that's something that really matters to me, to try to secure more resources for the Greek diaspora in terms of education and cultural connection and language, and also more support for Greek Americans around day to day, logistics that connect the community to Greece. I know, like many of my friends, sometimes struggle to have a passport renewed, or they struggle with tax
Right.
or inheritance or real estate issues in Greece. So it'd be very important to find ways and resources to make things easier for the Greek diaspora.
Amazing. And then you mentioned you raised your kids, you moved your family to US, raised them here. Is that correct? Talk to me what that
Yes.
change was.
No.
Talk to me about,
My,
go.
yeah, my kids are born. They were both born in New York City.
In both born in New York City. Talk to me
Yeah.
what that change was like for you then, not necessarily for the kids, of the differences between the cultures. I mean, obviously it's two different worlds, and a
Oh
lot of
yeah, totally.
people struggle to adjust whether they're going to Greece from here or coming here from Greece. Touch on that for a bit.
It's been a difficult but exciting journey. When I first moved to the US, to study law, I was on my own. I didn't know anybody in the US and New York, right, which in itself is quite a challenge. It's a tough
For
city.
sure.
And I eventually fell in love with it, with the opportunity, with the people, with the energy. And that helped me overcome the challenges. Right now I'm like a true New Yorker. I love the city. I have my neighborhood. I know every little part of the city, and most of my friends live in New York City. But it's been a tough road, and it's tough sometimes because when in the US you're always, especially me, right, with my heavy accent, I'm looked at as a Greek. But when I'm in Greece, I don't really, fit in the way a Greek who's been living in Greece for the last several years does, right? So it's tough because sometimes it feels like you're never wholly someplace. But on the other hand, you have the opportunity to enjoy both and to have family
Right.
and friends in both countries. And that's amazing.
For sure. It definitely is. Because when I go, obviously, I grew up a Greek American, but there's been
Hmm.
times where I stay in Greece so long, when I come back here, I forget what life is like here.
It's tough,
So
yeah.
yeah, it's tough. The transition's tough, and then if you don't go to Greece for so long and you get there, it's another culture shock. So speaking of Greece, on this show we like to talk about Greece a lot, and a lot of the listeners come and they expect some sort of travel tips. Talk to me. Where in Greece are your roots from?
Well, I'm originally from Arcadia,
Okay.
and Achaia. So this is in the Peloponnese, in Peloponnesos, which is an amazing place to visit. It's not as well known as the islands, but it has as much to offer. Lots of history, very nice beaches, great food, of course. Um, the main thing is that you can really move around by car, so you can explore a lot more than you would, in most of the Greek islands. This is
Right.
where the ancient theater of Epidavros is. Messini is a wonderful place also with amazing seacoast. I love it. There's so much to discover. But I also love Athens. Athens has, during the last few years, has developed to be like an amazing, fun city. Lots of things to do. Cultural institutions. Very vibrant social scene and really fun. And the Greeks, you know that, right? They're very social. They hang out a lot. They stay up later. Um, it's probably one of the very few places in the world where you can have your coffee, sip your espresso and look at the Parthenon, right? um,
Yes.
and then, like within, I don't know, maybe like 20 minutes, be in the sea swimming and then go back
Yes.
to, an office environment. It does combine a lot.
Yes. It's very dynamic. Very dynamic. All right. So you said Arcadia. Give me one. So if I have a traveler that's going there for the first time, but you can only give them one tip of something they cannot miss, what are they going to do?
Oh, wow, there's so much.
All right. Then I'll let you do
That
two. We'll give you two.
That's a tough one. In the city, in Athens, of course, they have to go visit the Parthenon, the Acropolis. It's really spectacular. Um, and I would also say, I think they should not miss walking around the so-called historico trigono, which is like a historic triangle. It's like a new hip area that has developed downtown, with
Yeah.
very like hip bars and eateries, and it's really fun and an enjoyable neighborhood to discover.
Amazing. All right. Now I'm going to answer your three favorites for a few different topics. What are your three favorite Greek islands?
Santorini. I also love Crete and Spetses, which is very close to Athens. It's a very easy trip, but it's also very unique and kind of quiet, family-oriented island, but very nice.
Amazing. How about your three favorite places on the mainland?
Athens, probably like Vitina, which is like a very small mountainous village in Arcadia.
Mhm.
Um, And I would also add Karpenisi again, which is very mountainous. It's probably like a ski kind of like ski resort destination. I love the mountains in Greece actually.
All right. And then your three favorite Greek dishes.
Hmm. Oh. um, moussaka. It's also a little bit touristy, but I do love it. And I also love all the veggie dishes, like yemista,
Mm,
um, the bamyes, all the laderas we
right.
say in Greece. I do love those. They're
Yes.
very healthy and they're very yummy.
So, and then how about three favorite desserts?
I don't know if this would be like traditionally Greek necessarily because I love ice cream, especially when I'm in
Hmm.
Greece in the summertime. Also some σκουταλάκι του γλυκού, some Greek
Hmm.
yogurt. It's amazing. It's healthy,
Yes.
and also delicious.
Awesome. And then your coffee of choice when in Greece, if you're a coffee drinker.
Freddo,
All
which
right.
I have such a hard time finding in New York, right? It's basically like
Yeah.
shaken espresso with ice, but
Hmm.
somehow they really get it right here. And sometimes when I feel really tired and I need a jolt of energy, I go for frappe, which is really the bomb, right? It's very strong.
Yeah.
Um,
Yes.
but like they shake it with milk or cream sometimes. It's not the most diet friendly kind of coffee drink, but it's amazing.
That's awesome. All right, let's get back to the candidacy. How can someone who, let's say, is living somewhere in the US, somewhere in Canada, Australia, a Greek that wants to support you, wants to help you win, what can they do?
So, assuming they are willing to vote for the specific party that I'm running with, which is Nea Demokratia, they have to find the number that corresponds to my name on the ballot, and that's the number 41, right? 41. And that corresponds to Panagiota Niovi Christopoulou. And then they check that. Um, each voter has up to 4 selections, so each voter can choose for up to 4 candidates, not just me, and they mail it back, and that's it.
Simple as that. So I know these ballots and mailing them, they probably receive these packages and they look at them and they say this is confusing. So to be clear, they're going to come, they're going to find your name, and you said number 41, correct?
Yeah, yes,
Okay.
that is correct.
So there you go, and then you just mail it in, and I'm sure the package gives them a deadline of when it needs to get out. I'm assuming.
Yeah, I think it's May 28th.
All right. So if anyone wants to learn more about you, we just go to your website, which we have
Yep.
in the show notes. We're going to put it in the video. It's right in front of you. So go check out Niovi's website. You're going to learn all about her mission, everything she stands for, what she hopes to get out of this. Niovi, is there anything I've missed that you want to include in this conversation?
Just inviting, all of you guys, all Greek Americans to learn more about me in the first place. And then if you like what you learn about me, vote for me, select number 41 and connect with Greece. Let's get together. Let's make this like a big celebration of democracy and of connection to our roots.
Amazing. I have one last question for you. It's what I ask everybody when I sign off, and it is, what does being Greek mean to you?
Uh, it means a lot of joy of life and also a lot of responsibility because every Greek, comes with a lot of um, history and ancestry and heritage, um, and and also like a presence around the world. It's a very really rich diaspora with lots of history and lots of flavor to it. So I think it's a blessing, in essence. It's a blessing to be Greek. Um, and it's also a responsibility, to make sure that we keep this culture and tradition and we pass it on to our kids.
Well said. That was beautiful. Awesome. Well, thank you, Niovi, for coming on the show. I hope
Thanks,
all
Tony.
this goes exactly how you envision it, how you dream for it. And thank you, everybody, for listening to this podcast. Like we said, check out the links below to learn all about what Niovi's up to and how you can help her on her journey. And thank you guys for listening to this episode of Greece Chats. And we will talk to you again on the next episode.
Thanks, Tony. Thanks, everybody.